Hello, this is Sherman Blackwell, and welcome to this week's program, Singing River Services Presents. Thank you so much for joining us today. As has been for the last couple of weeks now, we are bringing individuals back to the program that work in-house at Singing River Services. We've talked about other programs that are support, and other good, solid, positive programs that help change people's lives and help assist people in the community. And today is no exception. We're excited to have Deborah Smith. Deborah is our prevention specialist for Singing River Services. Deborah, it's been a while since you've been on the program.
It sure has.
And welcome back.
Thank you.
Been doing a good job. I know you've been busy. And, you know, when people say, you say you're a prevention specialist, what basically does that mean for Singing River Services?
For Singing River Services, it means drug prevention. We go out and try to support schools, civics groups, and any other community organizations that help them become aware of the dangers of drugs and alcohol, because alcohol is a drug.
Right.
So basically, that's my focus when I go out and talk to anyone. It is to give information, inform them of what's going on, what's new on the market, and those types of things. But it's all relating to drug prevention.
And there's a lot of data concerning that. And you've been doing that now about 3-4 years
Yes.
for us. And I know you have a real passion for that, and some things that have happened that you've been involved in the past. But I know currently, we talked a little bit earlier today about the parent coalition and how you're getting people involved in this. You know, it's so for some people it's just they think it's a losing battle, but we have to be there. You have to give children the option and do those kinds of things. But before you answer that question about the parental involvement, what does your day normally look like? What do you do as a, you know, we say what it is, but if you tell people what you do, then that helps
out a
explain.
little. Well, what I do on a daily basis, I'm in a school mostly. Most of my work is in the schools, even though I do some other things besides schools. But I go at a typical day would be teaching in a classroom, each period or block, whatever it is, whatever school system it is, and I'm teaching each class about the dangers of drugs. Now with this new program that we have, we're doing the ATOD, which is alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs. So it gives me an opportunity to not only talk about alcohol and the dangers of drinking under the age of 21, but it also gives me an opportunity to talk about some of the dangers of the other drugs. So a typical day would be classes beginning with the first period and going throughout the day. Okay. On different days, I'm in different schools. So usually a day or two at a school, and then I move on to the next school.
And you use visual type aids, and you'll use, I've heard you talk about role play. And what age do you typically start at?
Usually we start at 5th grade and up. We have curriculum starting out with an actual 6th grade curriculum, then we have 7th, 8th grade curriculum, and then the 9 through 12 is curriculum. And it is scientifically based. It's done by Hazelden Corporation. And we use that curriculum to teach drug prevention.
Okay. And you use the term "and other drugs." I guess, you know, there's drugs, alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs. And a lot of new drugs that are surfacing, I guess, by changing a molecule and doing this, spice and stuff like that, or whatever they call that. So there got to be a lot of challenges out there, and I guess you come across different age groups and you look at those different age groups, you know, you got to be pretty tough, I think. Of course, I know you have formed relationship, but it's still tough when you're dealing with kids. And most of these kids know everything anyway.
They do.
You know, they know everything. And you're coming in here, you know, this nice dressed lady coming in here and going to tell them. How do you communicate? How do you get through that?
Well, you touched it. I mean, the most important thing for me now is to have a relationship with the children or youth that I work with. And that's a process. I mean, I come in, first I'm going to work on materials that's going to help build relationships. So a lot of character stuff, a lot of character education is included in that. And just basic processing. We go in, we talk, and what I'm trying to do is get information as much as give information. And the reason I said this new program is great is because it gives me an opportunity to talk about some of the things they want to talk about. Because most of our children don't really see alcohol as a drug. They don't see it as a problem. As a matter of fact, what's the big deal is just, wine, or it's just beer, or it's just a wine cooler that's not going to hurt me. So they really, and then they'll bring up the idea of other drugs and ask other questions about other substances that's out there. And so, like I said, with the new program, it gives me the opportunity to be able to talk about that. A lot of questions about spice, and spice is synthetic marijuana. And it came around a year or so ago and got very popular in our area. And so now with the ATOD, we can talk about spice. I can do a lesson on spice. Or a lot of things are going on with bath salts, and I can do lessons on that too, in addition to dealing with alcohol. So this is exciting for me, and also gives them some of the information that they want to find out.
It seems that it mutates or something. You talk, it used to be crank, crack, whatever, then meth and different kinds of meth, I guess, and now it's you're using bath salt and spice. These are softer terms that don't have a particular drug name tag onto it, but they're some of that's available at the corner store. Huh?
It is, and that's how it started out actually. Spice went out there. It wasn't like when the manufacturer made it, they didn't make it for that. They made it for something else, but then someone got smart and found out that they could smoke it. But actually, when they developed it, they was trying to mimic that THC.
I don't know if I call that smart, though, smoking it, but yeah, I know what
you see what I'm saying? They're trying to mimic that THC that's in marijuana. So you have a synthetic brand of it, and unfortunately, we don't have enough studies to tell what the dangers would come as a result of using it. It's still in the works, and but it is synthetic, and it was made in a lab.
Okay.
And not only does it have lots of chemicals in it, about 8 other chemicals other than that THC that they were trying to make. So this is the kind of information I like to take into the children, because the children the word out there with them now is that spice is not bad and it won't hurt you.
Okay. Because you can buy it at the store.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right. And I know you have a lot on your plate, and one thing that I've noticed and that you've been doing for a number of years now, which very smartly, is forming coalitions with parents. Tell us about that.
Yes. Well, my main goal with that is that the stats are showing that the children have 50%, they're 50% less likely to use if the parents set the limits. So with that in mind, I was like, well, some kind of way we got to get the parents involved. The parents got to know that it's important for them to set the limit. They are the first line in prevention. Parents come way before I do, because they are there with their children. They're raising their children. But if that parent say, hey, look, I don't expect you to use any type of substance, then those children are 50% less likely to do it. And that's pretty high percentage. So that's where my heart came into play with that. It's like, okay, well, if that's the case, then we need a lot more parents involved in our coalition. So we started a parent coalition in about the last year or so. Okay. And not only with parents, we got other community leaders, other stakeholders in pulling into administrators, teachers, some ministers, churches got involved over the summer. So it's growing. So you find that parents are proactive with this. You've got some that are really buying in. Yes. And they didn't realize that they were the first line of prevention. Yeah. So see, that's where the education come in. Yeah. It's like, hey, look, all you need to do is just set the limit. Right. And that's the first step. Now, when they come to school, then they get a chance to learn about all of the dangers, because of course we found out a long time ago that scare tactics do not work. Mm-hmm. So we just want to be able to tell them, what's going on with this. This could happen if you choose to use. Right. So that they can make a good choice. Yeah, exactly. And that's interesting to know that parents
the nuclear family doesn't look like it used to look, but still some parental figure. And when you're talking about 5th or 6th graders, I don't know how it is today, but that was pretty impressionable age for me. I mean, I was going to be pretty much in line with if you had a dominant parental figure. That's going to have a lot of influence over me than when I'm 14 or 15.
Yes.
If I'm 10, 11, or 12. So that's good. So you're starting in there at that particular point in time. That is very, very interesting, and some good information about that. And you're in most all. You change from school to school.
I do. Jackson County. So we're in Moss Point schools and we're in Pascagoula schools right now.
Okay, good deal. My guest today is Deborah Smith. She is the prevention specialist for Singing River Services. That is, she is the person who is in the community talking to children in the schools, talking to civic organizations, and would be glad to come to your place of business or talk to any particular group that you had that has an interest in educating our children about the importance of abstinence and being educated about drugs and alcohol. Alcohol is a drug, and all of the things that are going on. Deborah is doing an excellent job with that. You can reach her by the number that you see on the screen there. That number is available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And when we come back, Deborah's got some very interesting statistics, and these that have been ongoing for some time, and they'll give us some indication. So we've got some other things to talk about, and we got some events that are coming up in a month or two, and we want to talk about those and hoping and inviting the community to get involved. You never know what little bit that you do may go a long way in affecting a child. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back after these messages. Hello, this is Sherman Blackwell, and welcome back to the second half of today's program, presented by Singing River Services, Region 14. Singing River Services Community Mental Health Center has been in Jackson and George County for 40 years now in that arena. It started out with Sue McClamrock, and if she's tuning in, we always like to give her a shout out and say hey, and a lot of people that have been involved in assisting individuals who many times cannot help themselves. And if you would like information about some of the 35 plus programs that we offer at Singing River Services, you can give us a call at the number that you see on the screen there. My guest, a very special guest today, is Deborah Smith. Deborah is the prevention specialist for Singing River Services, one of those 35 programs that we do, and one that I particularly am interested in and care about, because in so much that we do, sad to say, we deal in the aftermath of what has gone before, and this is an opportunity to educate, to prevent, to intervene in many people's lives. Even though it's hard to know where and when you're making the effect, but we know the effect is there, and we certainly know if we don't attempt at educating and intervening, then nothing is going to happen and nothing's going to change. You are sharing with me about some data that you had recently discovered. Tell us about that.
Yes. Recently, and this was a study that was done by Columbia University, and they do it it's an annual thing. They do back to school survey, and they talk to about 1,000 children ages 12 to 17. Now, this was the first thing that really just hit me. Was the survey said 17% of high schoolers, which means children in high school, drink, smoke, and use drugs during the school day. 17%.
During the school day.
During the school day.
So one would not necessarily be surprised to hear that a high school student drinks or imagine that, or smokes or something like that. But you're saying during 17%. during school.
During
We're
school.
talking 8 to 2 or 8 to 3
Yes, on campus.
on campus. Well, that's a little different. That's interesting. That data is pretty scary too.
It is.
I'm wondering how they are getting
How they
by
get-
with
see-
a lot of that.
Good question. See, and the other thing is said that the survey found that 44% of high school students know a classmate who sells drugs at school.
Say that again.
44% of high schoolers, they know someone
they know
that's
who the-
selling it at school.
At school. Okay. Well, it's a good thing you're in school now. the upshot of that is 80%. You have some 80% who
Not.
who are not, at least during school.
Yeah, exactly. Because remember, these stats are talking about school, the
Yeah,
school day.
yeah, during
the school
school.
day, and that drugs are available on campus
So,
during school.
Yeah, but that still differentiates. You know, if you have there's a missing link, or there's a correlation between those that do not and those that do, and that's got to get back to some of what you were talking about in the first segment, some parental guidance, some
Exactly,
boundaries,
exactly.
and those kinds of things are pretty tough. That's pretty interesting. That's just recent data.
Recent, as I pulled this last week. I heard it on CNN, and I went online and pulled the actual report. And if anybody's interested in a copy of the report, I have it and can make it available to them as I go into the schools. And this is something that I will be discussing in my lessons next week, or the rest of this week too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because I like to share this kind of information with the students, so they'll know what's going on, and teachers. And then, of course, when we meet the coalition, we meet once a month. We'll be also talking about this.
Yeah. So you're looking at 1 in 5 are emboldened enough to use on campus during the day, and that's got to be so devastating and dramatic to the school system, the education process, and of course we've seen what's happened over the last decade in America as far as education and those kinds of things. Now, talking about school, there is something that we are involved with in October. Tell us about that.
Exactly. The coalition, which is the parent coalition that we're involved in right now, we're planning a major event for the week of Red Ribbon, which is October the 20th through the 27th. During those days, we're putting together a program, and we're going to go into individual schools and present our program. Now, this program is going to we're going to have displays about anti-drug messages. We also have some of the students' peers going in doing role play. We're going to also do a team panel, and it would be a panel of peers that's going to go in and talk about their experiences with different types of drugs. And in addition to that, I'm hoping to pull in a session where we have the parents come in along with their child, and hopefully at the end of that session we'll get some commitments.
Yeah. Good. Now, I mean, I'm curious. Role play. I understand the term. I understand what happens.
A scenario. Sometimes the children will make up their own scenarios. Like they'll find themselves in a situation where they could possibly use, whether it would be at school or whether it would be at a party, or whether it would be in any setting. They come up and they put it together. And what we will have is children along with them in the role play, putting pressure on them to use drugs, and then they come up with innovative ways to say no.
Okay.
So it actually gives them opportunity to be playing
beforehand.
Yeah, because I tell them all the time, if you already have a position in mind and you don't have to think about it, you're more prone to use it. So it's best to have already your plan, the way you're going to say no before you put it in the situation. So it's like being proactive.
Yeah. Right, having that, anticipating that, knowing
because it's going to happen.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to happen. You know, once they reach 10 and up, they're going to be put in a situation where they're going to be, pressured to use. So it makes more sense if you have a plan already.
Yeah, and and there's the education and the intellectual quality of that is very important. And then, you're doing this during school hours, during open time, and many of these children are at home and they see the use of alcohol, drugs. They see the accessibility
Yes.
of that, and so that's a hard. It's hard to walk up that mountain a lot of times, but we got to keep doing it and keep pushing it and giving them. I like that plan beforehand. And
Yes,
so,
right. Yeah, because most of them see alcohol is not a problem because it's in the refrigerators next to the orange juice and the milk.
True.
So
Yeah.
it's like it's not a problem for me.
But in many cases, that's the segue into the other uses. If beer hasn't, if beer doesn't bother you too much, then you can
Try
go
something
on and
else.
do that. So Red Ribbon Week is October the 20th through the 27th. If Isaac leaves us alone, we'll be okay and we won't be underwater and things like that. And that will be, do you know where? Will that be
Well,
throughout
actually, what we're doing is putting together the plan. We're in the
Right,
process
it's
of that
early.
now. And what we're going to do is probably send in letters inviting schools. And so we plan to have a schedule. And my hopes is to be in that school one full day.
Okay.
And then, so we got 5 or 6 days, so we can get a couple of few
You can
schools.
do a lot. I've been involved in that myself, and it's very interesting. And it's very it's accepted more than you think. More than you think, and you get the right age and the right group. Now you talked about a curriculum. We're under 2 minutes here, but it's science based and it's designed at targeting and educating these children
That age
about
group.
about the and it's expanding now into things like bath salt and spice and all of those
It
kinds
is.
of things.
And even distracted driver too, so because we have a lot of problems with texting and driving. So that's when, we usually do lessons on that to distracted driver.
That's good.
So-
And I know you work with some local store owners about
Merchant
Merchants.
education, that's a good point, yes. We've targeted about 25 merchants in the area, and we actually go in and talk to them about tobacco use and selling tobacco to them.
selling tobacco to children. A lot of
Exactly.
information here, a lot of information. If you would like more information about what Deborah is doing and her itinerary, or some would like for her to come speak to your group, your school, you can get in touch with her through the number you see on your screen there. Deborah's been doing this for 3 or 4 years now, I know, with us, and has been working in the community, doing an exceptional job, but love it.
I love it.
You love it, and
Yes.
making a difference. May not be able to put the numbers right now, but I guarantee you making a difference in individuals' lives. And so if you like some of this information that she has given us or shared with you today, if you like some more information about some of the other 35 plus different programs that we have that kind of dovetail with this and other programs, give us a call at the number you see on the screen. And let me remind you, that number is available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Deborah, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to look forward to seeing y'all again next week with another special guest.